Welcome back then guys to this live stream. It is now time for the qualifying session for IFMC GP3 round here at Budapest. And if you didn't see what happened last week as well, a lot of controversy surrounding one of the championship contenders, which has inevitably led him to some form of danger this weekend. I'll get onto that in a little bit, but as you can see, bright and sunny conditions yet again here at Budapest. And of course the new layout, if anybody's just joined us, we are using the up-to-date version of the Hungary now. No longer the late 80s one. And of course, just a note, of course, big one in fact, Ferdinand Hasberg, one of the championship contenders, has a qualifying ban for what he did down at turn 1 in race 2, causing a crash with, I believe it was Alexander Rossi. Well, it was one of the Willows racing cars, and Joseph Newgarden as well, the championship leader. As a result, Hasberg has a qualifying ban, which might not help him in terms of his championship chances. He comes into this race 2 points back from Joseph Newgarden, and Newgarden has a perfect opportunity this weekend to increase his lead in the Drivers' Championship, and he'll be able to take maximum advantage of that if he can. So only 21 cars will be taking part in this qualifying session. And also a note as well, Jenson Button is back for this weekend after doing top class duties last weekend. But he is back this weekend in GP3 with Pennzoil Grand Prix. And looking to try and see if he can capitalise on getting some points in the bag after missing the GP3 side of things in Germany last weekend. So, bright and sunny conditions. Without further ado, let's get to the qualifying session for IFMC GP3. Anyway, here we are then in the pit lane, and as you can see, Hasberg having to look onto the sidelines, and we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with Eero Vainio, so we will wait and get this session underway. 35-minute session, and we will wait for the first set of cars to go out onto the track in this 35-minute session around here at the Hungary Ring. And of course, if you didn't see on Tuesday, the announcement about the future changes for IndyCar, of course, include that we will be using the 2018 car shape for IFMC IndyCar this upcoming season, and we have 3 different car shapes as well to suit the different tracks we'll be going to, so that's good to see. On top of that as well, the teams are allowed to choose their own numbers and designate them to any driver they want, really, to the drivers that they have, so that's that really. And the third news flash about IndyCar is that tyre compounds one set of tyre compounds will be selected for each race, with the ovals getting the hard tyre and the road courses getting the soft tyre. And then of course we had the calendar, which was announced as well along with that. And then of course the IFMC calendar also got announced as well, which will see the inclusion of the Canadian Grand Prix next season at Montreal. And on top of that as well, GP2 having a standalone event next season as well at the Paul Ricard circuit. GP3 not having that, of course, but they will still be having 10 weekends next season as well, going to the same locations as they have this season. Well, I say that, but they'll be going back to Austria, of course, next season as well. Forgot to mention, the Austrian Grand Prix will be making a return next season, but the Korean Grand Prix, which came in this season, will not be there next season as well. Of course, we'll be returning to Suzuka next season as a result of Fuji and Suzuka having a shareholder agreement for the Japanese Grand Prix, and Suzuka will be returning next season for season 5. Heading down the pit straight then goes Eero Vainio, I believe that is. No, it's Kyle Kaiser who's just started a lap. There is one of the there's Joseph Newgarden, the championship leader, out on track. We also have Antonio Fawako, Will Power, Daniel Kvyat, Nick Heifeld, of course Hasberg watching from the sidelines, Vainio, Buemi, Kubica, Degrassi, Kari, Aitken, Ferrucci, and that's that. They are the 13 cars out on track at this time as Kaiser heads down the hill through this right-hander before approaching the left-hander on the track. See what Kaiser can do then on this lap. And up towards the right-hander we will go as Kaiser rounds this corner now then on the track. And up towards the chicane we will go. And now through the chicane goes Kyle Kaiser. And then in towards the S's we will go. And out of the corner then we go as we round the left-hander. And around the right-hander goes Kyle Kaiser as he will now head down the straight towards the final few corners on the track. And out of the corner now then we go before approaching the second to last corner. And let's see what Kyle Kaiser can do now then as he comes up now then towards the final corner. And onto the pit straight we will go. And let's see what Kyle Kaiser is able to do then on his first flying lap. He'll be the one setting the benchmark of time of 1:31.995. New Garden beats him to go to the top. Second for Antonio Fuoco, as it's P1 for Will Power. So Power goes to the top of the timing sheets. Kvyat goes third fastest. Heifeld fifth with that lap as somebody else gets spawned there. Heifeld 6th, 7th for Vinio. P1 now for Sebastian Buemi. So Buemi goes to the top of the timing sheets. De Grassi now then rounds the final turn. Let's see what he can do then on his lap as he comes down the pit straight. And De Grassi, what's the time going to be for him? And he goes fastest for the moment. So De Grassi now goes to the top of the timing sheets. Here comes Nico Kari, who comes out the final turn. Kari will cross the line. What can he manage? And he goes 9th fastest. P7 for Jack Aitken. As here comes Santino Ferrucci, the man who won race 2 last weekend at Germany. Ferrucci now then will now cross the line. See what the young American can do. And he goes P8 for the moment. And that's that. So at the moment, it is currently Sebastian Buemi, who is... Lucas De Grassi at the top, with Sebastian Buemi in second. And rounding out the top 3 is Will Power. So that's how the leaderboard currently stands at this stage. As Power rounds the right-hander, as he will now come up towards the final few turns. And so coming out of the corners now then on the track, as Kyle Kaiser now then comes into the pits. As he rounds the right-hander. And everybody who was out on track this time right is coming back into the pits. So we have just a half an hour of this qualifying session remaining to determine the grid for race 1 tomorrow. As Kaiser and I believe that was New Gun behind the slot into their boxes. And there is Antonio Fuoco, who's just gone in as well. And I saw Davison in the pits, and has Davison actually now gone out onto the track? Yes, he has. Davison about to start. I wonder if somebody actually broke down on this run then, which is why Davison has spawned in. I wonder if somebody had actually broke down on their on their first flying lap and wasn't seen that time on. We'll have to wait and see once Davison finishes off once everybody else after Davison finishes off their laps. As Davison now starts his lap as he comes down towards turn 1 on the track. Let's see what the Shadow Racing driver can do. And let's see what Davison can do then. Round turn 1 goes the British veteran. As going around turn 2 and then up towards turns 3 and 4 will go Anthony Davidson. Let's see what his first sector is going to be like, and we'll be able to see in a little bit what he'll be able to do then on this lap. See if this track is able to suit him, unlike this season, because so far Davidson has struggled this season in terms of pace. Been well outshone by teammate Felipe Nasr, and Davidson so far, yet to get a championship point underneath his belt, which is odd because last season he took a victory in that Shadow, but this season it just hasn't gone his way, as he now rounds the right-left chicane, and up towards the S's we will now go, as Davidson flicks the car in through the corner. Out the turn he goes before approaching the next section of corners on the track. And now up towards the right-hander we will go. And using quite a lot of curb on the outside before approaching the final few turns. And now coming up now then towards the final 2 corners will go Anthony Davidson. And let's see what the Brit can do now then, as he uses a little bit of tarmac on the outside. Up towards the final corner then goes Anthony Davidson. And heading down the pit straight will go Davidson, and let's see what the time's going to be for him. And he slots 13th fastest with that lap, so it still seems he's struggling in terms of pace. Here's Jenson Button back in the GP3 car after spending last weekend in the top class of Eldorado, but he's back in the car this weekend for Pennzoil Grand Prix, and looking to resume where he left off a fortnight ago in France. So coming around the final corner goes Jenson Button. He's about to start a lap. Also out on track is Michael Alation, Marco Andretti, Antoine Hubert, Alexander Rossi, Felipe Nasr, Nick Heifeld, Daniel Abt, Lucas Di Grassi, Robert Kubica, Antonio Fuoco, and that is that really, as Kvyat's now gone out onto the track. As Button now starts one, his teammate, as he comes out of turn 1 and around turn 2 he'll go before approaching turn 3 on the track, as he will round the left-hander. So coming around turn 3, and then he'll go through flat out through turn 4 on the track. Sorry if you hear me coughing a little bit. I do have a little bit of a croaky voice going on. So Button now then will go around the left-hander as he will now come up towards this long right-hander as they've just come out of sector 1. And now up towards the right-left chicane on the track. Let's see what Button's able to do then. Out of the chicane, a clean exit out of the corner as he will now come around the S's. In real life, of course, this is where Jenson Button took his first ever Formula 1 victory. And also went on to win this race 5 years later when it was his 200th race as well. That was in real life, of course. Here in IFMC and even in GP3 as well, he's never been able to win here at Budapest. And so now up towards the final 2 turns, we'll go Jenson Button. Let's see what the British veteran's able to do then on this lap as he will come up now then towards the final corner. And let's see what JB is able to produce then. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Jenson Button, and let's see what his lap is going to be as Button will now cross the line and he goes 9th fastest with that lap. As behind him, Michael Alation goes 7th. Here comes Marco Andretti in the Auto Jamaica. The only Auto Jamaica to compete goes 11th. As it's P9 for Antoine Hubert. Alexander Rossi crosses the line and he goes 3rd fastest for the moment. So into the top 3 goes Alexander Rossi. Here comes Felipe Nasr in the shadow as he now rounds the final turn. And onto the pit straight goes Felipe Nasr as he will now cross the line. What's the time going to be for the Brazilian? And he goes 10th fastest for the moment as it's P9 for Nick Heifeld. An improvement for him. Here comes fellow compatriot Daniel Abt as he comes up now then towards the final turn. Where is Daniel Abt going to place? His teammates currently on pole. Let's see if Abt can get up close to him now then. As Daniel Abt will now cross the line. And he goes 8th fastest with that lap at the moment. Lucas Di Grassi, can he improve on his pole time across the line? And no, he can't. Remains on a 1 minute 30.591. As it's P3 for Robert Kubica. So into the top 3 goes Robert Kubica. As it's still P8 for Antonio Fuoco. I believe it might have been Kubica that broke down. Because he was out there a little earlier. But he didn't really set a competitive lap. But now got himself up into 3rd place. Here comes Daniel Kvyat, who's currently 7th fastest at this stage. Now then, up towards the final turn will go Kvyat. And let's see what he's able to do then on this lap as he comes down the pit straight and across the line goes Daniel Kvyat. Let's see what the time's going to be then for the Russian. And he goes 2nd place with that lap. So Kvyat gets onto the front row. And up into P2 goes Daniel Kvyat. And brilliant time from him there. But at the moment, it is currently Di Grassi fastest. Kvyat in 2nd place with Buemi rounding out the top 3 at this stage with Kubica 4th. And then I believe in 5th place is Will Power if my memory serves me right. So that's that really. We'll try and see if we can find somebody in the top 5. No, sorry, it's 5th for Alexander Rossi. I do apologise for that as he comes back into the pit lane. So it is Di Grassi from Buemi, it's Di Grassi from Kvyat, Buemi, Kubica and Rossi. That's how the top 5 currently stands. No Dacia Eldorado in the top 5 at this stage. Clearly both Power and Nugar not able to get some good pace around here at Budapest, which is possibly what Hasberg needs for Nugar, considering he can't qualify in this session. So at this stage the gap will still remain 2 points between them going into this, with Nugar so far not on pole position at the moment. So far the man on top is Lucas Di Grassi. As out on track is Santino Ferrucci, who's just started a lap in fact, so he just comes around turn 1 on the track, goes Santino Ferrucci in the AYP racing car. Through turn 2 he goes, and then up towards turns 3 and 4 on the track will go the young American who won race 2 last weekend at Hockenheim. Around the left-hander he goes. Flat through turn 4 goes Ferrucci as he will now come up towards the left-hander on the track, and let's see if he's able to put in a good lap. He's so far in 15th place at the moment and he's up on his personal best by nearly 0.08 of a second in the first sector. As he rounds the right-hander up towards the chicane he'll go. In towards the chicane goes Ferrucci. And let's see how he'll cope round the S's now then. Through the S's goes Ferrucci. Around the right-hander, using quite a lot of curb on the outside there then. Before into the final part of these S's now then, as he will now approach the end of Sector 2 on the track. Round that right-hander, heading down this long straight, this relatively mild straight I should say, before approaching the final few turns on the track. As he will come up now then towards the second to last corner. Let's see what Santino Ferrucci is able to do then on this lap then. Up towards the final turn will go Ferrucci, and let's see what the time is going to be for the American as he comes down the pit straight and across the line goes Santino Ferrucci, and he does not improve. He remains 15th with that lap there then, as Buemi starts his lap. The man currently third at this stage, trying to find somebody else who's on a lap. And at this stage it might have to be Buemi, and it will be Buemi, but it looks like Aitken might have other ideas. It looks like Aitken has come out right in front of him at this stage, so Buemi might get held up by Jack Aitken's Willows racing car if he is not careful, as they round up towards turn 3 on the track. So coming off the turn, and then down through turn 4 will go Buemi, as he comes up towards the left-hander on the track. And so now up towards that left-hander we will go. And now up towards the right-hander goes Sebastian Buemi, as a little bit of curb used on the outside before approaching the right-left chicane. And into the chicane goes Buemi, as he looks to try and get pulled back if he can from Lucas Di Grassi's American engineering car, as he rounds the S's. Up towards the end of sector 2 will go the Swiss driver. Out the corner now then, out of sector 2, as he will now approach the final few turns. Let's see what Buemi can do then on this lap. Out the corner before approaching the second to last corner. Let's see if Buemi is looking at an improvement now then, try and get his car either onto pole or onto the front row. Let's see. Buemi now then rounds the final turn, as he will now come onto the pit straight, and Buemi will now cross the line. Let's see what Sebastian Buemi can do. Is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He remains third with that lap, as we have just over 20 minutes left of this qualifying session to determine the grid for race 1 here at Budapest, as we're 13 minutes away from the 6:30 mark, so we're 43 minutes away from the press conference for the top class. Here comes Anthony Davidson, who's effectively last because of Hasbro's qualifying ban. As Davidson now then down the pit straight and across the line, and he improves but remains 21st with that lap. Button stays 16th, not really doing a good job at this stage. Still 13th for Felipe Nasr. Here comes Alexander Rossi, who's rounding the final few turns. Let's see what Rossi can do then on this lap. Into the second to last corner, and Rossi will now approach the final turn. Let's see what Alexander Rossi can do on this lap then. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the American, as he heads down the pit straight, and Rossi will now cross the line. Is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He remains 5th for the moment in this session, as it's still 18th for Kaiser, but he improves on his best time. Still 17th for Andretti. He also improves on his best time. Here comes Joseph Newgarden, the current championship leader. Can he improve from 7th place as he now rounds the final turn? And he's looking to try and take advantage of Hasberg's qualifying ban, but can he, as he comes around the final turn onto the pit straight, and across the line goes Joseph Newgarden, and he improves to 2nd place. So onto the front row goes Joseph Newgarden. So he's into the front row on the grid. Still 14th for for Antoine Hubert. Up into 8th place goes Michael Alation. That's Michael. As up into 2nd goes Jack Aitken. So Aitken gets onto the front row, pushes Newgarden back onto the 2nd row. So up to 2nd place goes Jack Aitken in the Willows racing car. Here comes Nico Kari in the Suomi racing car, as he will now round the final turn. Let's see what Kari is able to do on this lap as he comes down the pit straight, and across the line comes the young Finn. Kari will cross the line, and he goes up to 19th, so he gains a place, but still not great for the young Finn. And we look at somebody else who's on the lap. It doesn't appear like it. Well, somebody is on track in Eero Vainio. But so we're going to go to Eero Vainio next as people come back into the pits with just over 18 minutes to go in the session. Here's Eero Vainio in the Suomi, as he will now approach the final few turns. So far, Suomi still yet to look for a point since they returned to GP3 this season, previously known as Cold North Racing, of course, when they were fighting for the championship in the inaugural season of IFMC GP3. But so far this season, they haven't done a particularly good job since coming back here. They're the only team still yet to score points in GP3, and with all the other 10 teams already scoring points. As Kari now then starts his lap as he comes down the pit straight towards turn 1. And up towards turn 1 now then goes Eero Vainio. And let's see what his lap is going to be able to do. As he comes through turn 2 and up towards turns 3 and 4 on the track goes Eero Vainio, as he looks to improve from P20 at this stage. So far the Suomi is looking out road 10 at this stage of qualifying. Not great for both Nico and Eero at this stage. As out of turn 4 goes Vainio, as he will now come up towards turn 5 on the track. This quick left-hander. Up towards the right-hander then goes Vainio, as he comes out the turn before approaching the right-left chicane. Into the chicane we go. So now up towards the S's goes Vinio. As he rounds the left, then the right, out of the corner, and then up towards these last few turns on the track. And up towards the exit of Sector 2 goes Vinio now then, as he exits out of the corner before approaching the final few turns. Let's see what Vinio can do then on this lap, as the Suomi racing car comes around the final few turns. And Vinio up towards the second to last corner, and around he will go, as he will soon approach the final corner. And let's see then, Eero Vinio around the final corner and onto the pit straight will go Vinio, as he will head down the pit straight. And let's see if this is going to be an improvement for Vinio then. And he crosses the line, and he says he goes up to 18th place. Up to P18 goes Eero Vinio, but still not particularly great for the Suomi driver at this stage. Heifeld about to start a lap, as is his former BMW Sauber teammate in real life, Robert Kubica. Lucas Di Grassi, the current pole sitter, out on track, and it's Power who's on a lap at the moment in the Dacia Eldorado, currently down in 8th place at this stage, looking to improve, and it looked like he was on the improvement according to his first sector, because he was up on his personal best as he goes up now then towards the chicane. Behind him is one of the AYP racing cars. That looks like Antonio Fuoco's AYP racing car behind him, and Power hoping that he doesn't impede him on his lap. Fuoco hoping that Power doesn't impede him in front. At this stage, through the S's goes Power, as he will round the right-hander, using a lot of curb on the outside, as he will now come up towards the final few turns. And let's see if Power is able to improve then on this lap. Up towards the second to last corner goes the Aussie, and around the left-hander then goes Power, coming out the turn, and up towards the final corner goes Will Power. And let's see what the lap is going to be. Out of the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go, and Power now then will cross the line. And is this going to be an improvement? It is, but no, it isn't. In fact, he lost time in the last sector and remains in 8th place. Fuoco starting a lap, as now we will look for Nick Heifeld on a lap, down in 12th place at this stage. Looks like Kubica is getting held up on his current flying lap by one of the Pennzoil Grand Prix cars, and one of them is in front of Heifeld, and that looks like Kvyat, so that must be Button that's holding up Kubica on his latest flying lap. Around the left-hander goes Heifeld. Let's see what the time is going to be then for Mr. Reliable, Quick Nick. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the German, and Heifeld will now cross the line. Let's see what the time is going to be for Nick Heifeld. And he goes up to 10th, so Heifeld gets himself into the top 10. Button starts the lap. Kubica stays 6th as a result of being held up by Button on that lap. Davison and Rossi about to start a lap. Here is Lucas Di Grassi, so far not on an improvement on his current pole time, as Di Grassi rounds the final few turns. Let's see what the Brazilian can manage then. Around the second to last corner, and let's see if he can pull a miracle in the last sector now then. Up towards the final corner now then, as he'll soon be approaching the pit straight, and Di Grassi now then is going to cross the line, and let's see what the time is going to be then for Lucas Di Grassi. And he does not improve, remains on a 1 minute 30.591 in this session. Here comes Antonio Fuoco, who's currently 11th, so doing better than what he's previously done in qualifying, but still looking for points this season, as he's currently, I think, last in the Drivers' Championship. In fact, that's actually rolling. He's effectively second to last so far as Fuoco. On that lap, he doesn't improve and remains 11th at this stage. Buemi not on an improvement, as he's currently 5th at the moment in this qualifying session. Buemi now then up towards the second to last corner. And let's see what Sebastian Buemi is able to do on this lap then, as he comes up now then towards the final turn. And he will come down the pit straight. And across the line now then goes Sebastian Buemi. And is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 5th for the moment in this session. Marco Andretti goes up to 13th, so an improvement, but still not great for the Auto Jamaica guy. Still 16th for Santino Ferrucci. Still 4th for Daniel Kvyat. As it's still 17th for teammate Jenson Button, being way outpaced by Kvyat so far this weekend. Here comes Anthony Davidson, who comes down the pit straight, and across the line he will come. And he doesn't improve, remains 21st at the minute in this session. Here comes Daniel Abt about to start a lap. In fact, his teammate will be going into the pits. So we just have just over 12 minutes of the session to go here at Budapest for IFMC GP3, as Daniel Abt starts a lap in the American engineering car, as he will head down towards turn 1 on the track. Felipe Nasr has also just come out onto the track for Shadow Racing, as you just saw a little bit earlier on. So he'll be starting the next flying lap in a little bit. Out of turn 1 then goes Daniel Abt, as he will now come up towards turns 3 and 4. He's just past turn 2, which is that little right-hander. Through turn 3 we go, as we'll head down towards the flat-out turn 4. No more bust-up chicane, it's just a flat-out right-hander now then. And as we come up now then towards the left-hander on the track. Let's see what Daniel Abt can do then on this lap, as he'll come round the right-hander. Out of the turn goes the young German, as he will now approach the right-left chicane on the track. Round the right, then the left goes Daniel Abt. And then in towards the S's we will go. And Abt looking to try and improve on this current lap. Try and get up close to teammate Lucas de Grassi, who's currently on pole at this stage. Around the right-hander goes Abt, as he comes out of the second sector now. Then down towards the final few turns goes the young German. Let's see what Daniel Abt is able to do on this lap then. Up towards the second to last corner comes the young German, as he rounds the left-hander on the track. Up towards the final corner and onto the pitch, and he will soon be coming onto the pit straight. Around the final turn, and then down the pit straight goes Daniel Abt. And let's see what the time is going to be for the young German. Across the line comes Daniel Abt, and he remains 12th. No improvement with that lap, as we have just over 10 minutes of the session remaining. A lot of cars still waiting around in the pits. Some cars have come out onto the track, as Felipe Nasr has just started the lap as he comes around turn 4. And he will now come up towards the quick left-hander. Luckily for him, nobody came out of the pit lane to impede him, so he'll be looking to try and get a clean lap underneath him if he can. Around the right-hander goes Felipe Nasr, as a lot of Kirby's used on the outside before approaching the quick right-left chicane. And then into the S's goes Felipe Nasr. Through the S's he goes, round the right-hander, and then up towards the left and right goes the Brazilian. Around the right-hander we go, using a lot of curb on the outside, as we will now approach the last few turns. Let's see where Nasr will place in this session now then. Out the corner, up towards the second to last turn goes the Brazilian, as he rounds the left-hander. Out of the turn, and now up towards the final corner will go Felipe Nasr, as he will head down the pit straight, and across the line he will go. And let's see what Nasr can do then. Across the line, is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 14th for the moment in this session, as Kari is about to start a lap, as is a few other cars behind him. At this stage, Antoine Hubert on a lap in the KR racing car, up towards the quick right-left chicane. And the Frenchman having quite a solid weekend in Germany last time out. Finally getting his first points on the board, looking for more this weekend if he can at Budapest. And so far finds himself in 15th, but he'll look to improve on that if he can, as he rounds the right-hander. A lot of curb being used on the outside as he comes down towards the final few turns. Antoine Hubert now then out of the corners before approaching the second to last corner. And we're 2 minutes away now then from the 6:30 mark, so we're just over half an hour away from the press conference for the top class. Up towards the final corner then goes Antoine Hubert, and let's see what the time is going to be then for the young Frenchman, as he will head down the pit straight, and across the line goes Hubert, and let's see what the time is going to be, and he remains 15th with that lap there then, as Kvyat's going out on the track, and a few guys just starting a lap. Michael Lacing on a lap, and he remains 9th at this stage. Kubica about to start one. Here's Jack Aitken, currently second. Can he try and overhaul de Grassi for pole position? As he rounds the final turn and onto the pit straight goes Jack Aitken, and let's see what the time is going to be for him, as he will now cross the line. Is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He remains second place for the moment in this session. As now we look at Kari, 20th at the moment, currently on a lap, as he rounds the S's now then. Through the right-hander goes the Finn. A lot of curb being used on the outside. There is one of the Dacia Eldorados. I can't quite tell which one that is. So it's either Power or Newgarden. Those turns we will go on the track. In fact, both of them have come out at the same time. So both Newgarden and Power behind Kari at this stage. Kari now then out of the second to last corner. Up towards the final turn goes the young Finn. And let's see what Kari is able to produce on this lap now then, as he comes down the pit straight and across the line goes Nico Kari. And what's the time going to be? He remains 20th with that lap there. Then still third for Joseph Newgarden, the current championship leader, as Power improves but remains 8th, only 2,000th he improved by. Pole sitter de Grassi, can he improve? And he can't on his final flying lap. He remains on a 1 minute 30.591. and he'll be hoping that's enough to keep on to pole in these final 7 minutes of the session. Aerovania crosses the line, remains 18th at this stage. Here comes Kyle Kaiser out of the final turn, and the young American crosses the line, remains 19th at this stage. As it's up into 10th place goes Nick Heifeld, so he gets himself into the top 10. Kvyat starting a lap. As here comes Robert Kubica in the KR racing car, who heads down the pit straight, and across the line he goes. Is this going to be an improvement? It is. He goes up into the top 5, so up into 5th place goes Robert Kubica. So that's that for him. As we now look for some more cars on the lap, that will be Daniel Kvyat in the Pennzoil, as he'll head flat out through turn 4. Curb being used on the outside as they'll head up the hill towards the quick left-hander. A tap on the brakes through into there, using a lot of curb on the outside to get the perfect exit. Around the right-hander goes the Russian. And of course, Kvyat still looking for the first GP3 victory, as Button is so far the only man to get Pennzoil's only victory so far this season. As Kvyat rounds the S's now then. See what the young Russian can do, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside. Round the left-hander we go, as we'll now come up towards the right-hander, heading down this long run before approaching the final few turns. And let's see what Kvyat can do then on this lap. Round the right-hander, and before approaching the second to last corner, there's a few cars in front of him. Luckily for him, he's not going to get held up this time by. Round the left-hander, and a lot of curb being used on the outside. Is now up towards the final corner goes Daniel Kvyat, and he'll come across the line very soon, down the pit straight. And Kvyat now then, across the line he will come. And where's he going to place? He remains in 4th place for the moment. No improvement on his final flying lap there then. So, final 5 minutes to go. A few cars have come out to try and start their final flying laps. A few cars still waiting around in the pits. As for Waco now then, about to start a lap in the AYP along with Davidson and somebody else. And now up towards the final corner goes for Waco, as he will now head down the pit straight. And the young Italian starts his lap. So far for Waco is currently in 11th place, looking to try and see if he can break into the top 10 if he can. But it looks like he might get held up now, because that is Lucas Di Grassi who's just come out right in front of him there. Or is that Daniel Abt? It's Daniel Abt, in fact, that's come out in front of him there. So for Waco's lap, on his final flying lap, has already been ruined, so a chance of the top 10 might have gone out the window for Antonio Fuoco this time by, as he will now head down the hill towards the right-hander, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside there then, as he will now come up towards the left-hander, and using a little bit of curb on the outside as he rounds the right-hander, and now up towards the right-left chicane on the track. And let's see if he will be losing time. Clean exit out of the chicane for Fuoco, as he now rounds the S's, as we get to 3 and 3/4 minutes to go in this session. As Fuoco comes up towards the exit of Sector 2 now then on the track. One of the Willows racing cars has come out, can't quite tell which one that is. I think that might be Rossi. It is Rossi in the Willows racing car. He'll be hoping not to get held up by the 2 cars in front, which is Abt and Fuoco, as he looks to try and get up close to teammate Aitken, who's currently on the front row at this stage. Up towards the final turn then goes Antonio Fuoco, and let's see what the lap is going to be then for the Italian, as he will head down the pit straight. And Fuoco now then crosses the line. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He remains 11th with that lap. Rossi starts the lap. That was, of course, Fuoco's final flying lap, which obviously got compromised by Abt, who was just coming out of the pits. Here's Davidson in the shadow, who rounds the S's now then on the track. Around the right-hander he goes, as he uses a lot of curb on the outside. Just under 3 minutes now to go in this qualifying session. In towards the final few turns goes Anthony Davidson. Let's see what the lap is going to be then for the British veteran, as Ferrucci behind him is also on a lap in the AYP. Out of the second to last corner and up towards the final turn will go Anthony Davidson, and let's see what the time is going to be then for Davidson, as he will soon come down the pit straight. And across the line goes Anthony Davidson, and let's see what he can do. And he does not improve and remains 21st and effectively last as a result. Still 16th for Ferrucci, being outpaced by Fuoco this weekend. Buemi crosses the line, and improves but remains 6th for the moment on his final flying lap. So that's that for him. New gun coming out to try and do one more flying lap. He's got enough time, just enough time to do so. Daniel Abt on an improvement according to his mill sector, up by 66 thousandths of a second. As he will now come around the left-hander. As now for Wacko is holding up Rossi, so Rossi's final flying lap looks to be compromised at this stage. Up towards the final turn goes Daniel Abt, and this will probably be his final flying lap because of the amount of time left. He won't have enough time to go back out and complete that final flying lap he'll have available. But he gets up into 11th, so an improvement for Daniel Abt to get up into P11, still just outside the top 10, pushing for Wacko down to 12th place. Rossi doesn't improve on his final flying lap and remains 7th. As up into 9th place goes Marco Andretti. So Andretti gets into the top 10 and up into 9th place he will go. Still 14th for Felipe Nasr. So no improvement for him, but improvement for Andretti. And he gets his car into the top 10. Michael Elation rounds the final turn, currently in the cusp of the top 10. But let's see if the Russian can improve. Elation will now cross the line. And he doesn't improve. Remains 10th place for the moment. Just over a minute now left in the session. Aitken crosses the line. And no improvement, remains in 2nd place, isn't able to overhaul Degrassi at this stage. Button remains 17th, struggling on his return to GP3 this weekend after spending a weekend last weekend in the top class of Eldorado. As New Gun about to start a lap with 50 seconds to go in the session. As Hubert is on a lap, but not on an improvement according to his middle sector there. But let's see if he's able to pull it back into the last sector now then. Round the second to last corner goes Antoine Hubert as he'll come up towards the final turn. And let's see what he's able to do now on this lap there. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight goes Antoine Hubert. Can he get the car into the top 10? And across the line he'll go. And he remains 15th. No improvement for him as 22 seconds remain on the clock. And so that's that for Hubert. And the only man on the lap now then is New Gun. Nobody else has come out onto the track. So New Gun just rounds the right-hander, looking to try and get the car into the front row, or maybe grab pole so he can pull up, so he can increase the gap between himself and Hasberg to up to 4 points if he can now then. As 2 seconds remain, 1-0, checkered flag is out, and that is the end of the session. New Gun has a chance to complete his final flying lap, and according to his first sector there, he doesn't appear to be improving. So far he's not on a good enough lap to try and get himself onto the front row. As New Garden now then, the current championship leader, rounds the S's now then on the track. A lot of curb being used on the outside through the left-hander. And now he'll go around the right-hander on the track, as a lot of curb is being used on the outside before approaching the final few turns. And let's see what Joseph Newgarden can do then on this lap. Up towards the second to last corner goes Newgarden, as he will now come out of the turn before approaching the final corner. And around the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go. So Newgarden now then will now cross the line, and he doesn't improve and remains in 3rd place. And there you have it then. So after all of that, for the first time this season, and for the first time I think since last season, it is Lucas Di Grassi who takes pole position for race 1 tomorrow, and as a result takes American Engineering's first ever pole position in IFMC GP3. Only 400s though separating the top 2. A very close qualifying session, it must be said. So there you have it, guys. After all of that, here is the grid for race 1 tomorrow here at Budapest. Lucas Di Grassi on pole position with Jack Aitken in 2nd. Joseph Newgarden, the championship leader, in 3rd. With Daniel Kvyat in 4th. Robert Kubica 5th. Sebastian Buemi in 6th. With Alexander Rossi 7th. Will Power 8th. Marco Andretti 9th. Michael Elation in 10th. Nick Heifeld 11th. Daniel Abt 12th. Antonio Fuwako 13th. With Felipe Nasr in 14th. And if we scroll down the rest of the field, it is Antoine Hubert 15th. Santino Ferrucci 16th. Jensen Button in 17th. With Aerovinio 18th, Kyle Kaiser 19th, Nico Kari in 20th, Anthony Davidson in 21st, and due to his qualifying ban, Ferdinand Hasberg is 22nd and last. So there you have it, guys. That is the grid for race 1 tomorrow. It's looking to be a very interesting race. Hopefully you'll join us for that tomorrow at 3:30 PM BST. But that is it for the on-track action for today. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is the press conference for the top class. So if you've got any questions for the team bosses, then please leave them in the Twitch chat. But until then, I've been JW Farm. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in just a little bit for the top class press conference.